Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at this, I'm not sure what this is. It's kind of like a lawn dart with a scramjet on it. So well, let's go ahead and get started. This is the Darkstar, by the way. So first things first, we climb inside the cockpit of this thing, and you can't see out the front. Yeah, you can't see out the front. As a matter of fact, I highly recommend that you bind a key to enable you to do one of these things, so that you have a better look on the ground when you are going to be landing this thing. Now, I know most people are really excited when they see this plane. They're like, oh, we want to go as fast as we can. And I will walk you through the basic steps of going as fast as you can. We're also going to take a look at, how to land this thing and stuff like that. So we'll get there, as they say. So anyway, let's go ahead and get this bucket started. So first things first, we're going to swing over here. You're going to have this little battery panel right here. Don't click this, by the way. It'll go just like that, and it's going to fire up quite a few different systems here. It's worth noting that when you do start up the systems on this thing, it's it's pretty much what you're used to. You've got a couple different pages that you can pick to. You've got some different brightnesses if you need on your heads-up display mode. You can kind of play with some of this stuff. Switch it to night so it's a little bit darker. You can change its brightness. You can change your radio freaks up here. Don't touch that switch. Coming over on this side, you've got yourself a good old-fashioned parking brake. If you need to enable that, disable that. It's just a quick little switch. You got your big old throttle here. By the way, with the throttle on this one, it is an afterburner enabling aircraft. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is if you go to your controls real fast and you actually type in after, one thing you want to keep in mind is you need a button to turn on the afterburner. I have one right now that works really well for me. Obviously, if you don't program that, you're not going to be able to go fast. So let's swing over to this panel real quick. We're going to leave all these switches alone pretty much. We're going to come up and make our way up here. We're going to leave the yaw trim alone. System reset, just go tap that real fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to activate the APU. We're going to push that little switch there. You're going to get this little funny thing that's going to start freaking out on you and everything's going to start warming up. It takes just a few moments for that APU to come on. Now watch how amazingly simple this thing is to actually get started. And again, once our APU is going, we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and enable the start, which we don't need to in this case. Don't need to reset. So all you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you're going to click these two switches forward. That's it. There's not much else to it. So what's going to happen is if you monitor over here on the left, you're going to see that your two mains, you're going to start getting fuel flow on each one of them. They're two going to fire up in just a second. You're going to get a warning about the generator. So we're going to pop the switch up. We're going to close those two. Make sure you click the switch before you close it. You can also come in here and reset the engine or something like that in the event that you do something that I did probably 30 times with this airplane, which is, do severe damage to it. All right, so with that out of the way, now we can go ahead and take a look at the rest of this aircraft. This is it. That's all we really get. There's no navigation system or anything like that. So I really recommend using the GTN 750. You can also use the built-in thing if you need to use it. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. So like I said before, what I like to do is I like to have a button that allows me to kind of move my head left or right. So I can kind of do one of these things and I can pretend I'm flying an old P-47 kind of a thing. Give it just a tap of gas. That's it. And get ready to ride the brakes on this thing because it's going to be quite a project. So what I'm going to do for this particular flight is I'm actually going to fly a traffic pattern with it first. Then I will pop up to very high speed, very high altitude. The reason I want to do this is I have not selected a destination today. So if you don't select a destination before you get in the plane, you're going to have to use something like the GTN 750 or other third party to go ahead and get yourself going. Now, one thing I think you're probably tempted to do is use this screen down here as your primary navigation source. It's really tempting, but I'm not going to lie, you're going to have a bad experience with it. One of the things I've run into with this is that the camera position is not quite where you'd expect the rest of the aircraft position to be. Because of that, when you do go to land with it, trying to land with this is going to put you at a massive higher angle of attack than you need. Speaking of which, by the way, you have your angle of attack indicator over here. This aircraft is just like the SR-71. You have to be very ginger with it as far as movements. This is not a fighter aircraft. This is the definition of basically an experimental. That's the best way I'm going to kind of look at it today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go line myself up at the runway. Like I said, nothing too extreme here. I just love the fact that, we have to whoa, with the taxiing on this thing. Like I said, we'll start by flying a simple pattern. I hate how the whole sky blacks, it goes bzzz and burns your eyes out. Again, we can always move our heads like that so we can get a better look out the window. All right, so here's how we're going to do this. We're going to go ahead and apply full throttle smoothly. We're going to push it all the way forward, and then we're going to press the afterburner enable button, release the brake, and we're going to get rolling. This thing takes no time. 180 knots, pull the nose up, and we're going to pitch for 11 degrees, gear up. I'm going to pop right out of afterburner right away. That's intense. Oh man, one of the neat things too is you can look down at that camera view and you can see exactly how well lined up or not lined up you are with the actual runway itself. And one of the cool things you can do is you can like play, ooh, I'm playing Google Earth, it's Google Earth. You know, you can kind of do one of those things. All right, let's go ahead and slow this thing down and bring it into a traffic pattern. I'm going to treat it like a fighter even though it's not. Now this is, like I said, very similar to the SR-71 for those of you who play with it next plane. When you start pulling back like this, you start to get these funky AOAs, and I'm letting go of the controls and see how the whole aircraft kind of sinks a little bit. You have to kind of be mindful of that. This aircraft is a very, 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 very draggy plane. So I'm going to go ahead and slow down. I'll get a good look at Massachusetts. Westover Air Force Base, by the way, if you're curious where I'm taking off from. So we're going to go ahead and take my left traffic here. 1,800 feet is the normal altitude we want to be doing this at. But like I said, obviously we're a little bit faster than most things that come in and out of Westover, although they do bring bombers through Westover from time to time. We're going to come swing around nice and gentle, nice and gentle. We're looking for 230 here. And you can see this aircraft I would not call it a peach as far as handling goes when you're initially doing it. So when you're flying a traffic pattern, like I say, I do about 1,800 feet up. You can do even higher than that if you want to. You can see we have ourselves in a nice left downwind. Okay, landing this plane is interesting. And now I say interesting not because it's like, you know, it's like jerky, and like this is not a GBR-1 or anything like that of an airplane. Instead, the problem with this aircraft and landing is the difficulty with being able to see out the window. So one of the problems we'll face is, like I said, it'd be very, very tempting to use this. This is not going to be on your side. The other thing that makes this aircraft tricky is your approach speed is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely high here. And you'll see exactly what I mean once we slow down. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the throttle back just a little bit, just taking a peek at the window. Yeah, okay. So we're going to pull the nose down. We're just going to kind of start descending. I like about 200 knots. Again, there's no POH for this plane, so I'm doing this completely based on just my experience of flying simulated airplanes for, I could say it's been a little while. I'm not going to pop the gear down or anything like that. Try to keep your speed up a little bit. This thing turns best at about 330 knots. There we go. That looks like a pretty good place to go ahead and start that turn. So when you start to bank this thing, when you're getting slow, again, keep an eye on that angle of attack. It's not that this plane stalls, it just stops flying. And that's a common thing when you have these funky experimental delta things. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and do my little downwind, reduce power again. This thing's very happy at about 200, 210 as long as you don't whip the controls around too much. And what we'll do is we'll go right base to final here. I'm actually going to peek out the window. Oh my god, it's very difficult to see. There we go. There we go. And yeah, we'll go right base to final. Okay, so we're going to come around the corner now. Oop, getting a little slow. You can kind of feel it when it starts getting slow too, because all the controls get kind of whoa, whoa, whoa on you. And again, it does not take much to get this thing going. All right, let's go ahead and bring ourselves around. Landing gear down. You can go ahead and put out the spoilers if you want. I've seen that as a common technique to help kind of alleviate the pressure. Ooh, we overshot that. Oh, ground handling. All right, so now we're in pretty good shot here, but that's pretty good. Again, I wish I could look out the window a little easier. Okay, so approach speed. I find that 190 to 200 seems to be good speed if you're pretty heavy. You want to gingerly set this thing onto the ground. Like you can see I'm doing 210 here without any effort at all. And again, you really, really got to kind of play with your seating position as well as use that camera down there to set this thing down. So I'm doing about 200. Again, use the flight path vector marker to kind of line you up at the end of the runway. In the real world, there's probably a secondary view here that helps you out. Hold the nose up just a little bit. Again, you don't want to start getting too slow with this thing. It gets really messy. I'm doing about 180 now. I'm just going to push the throttle forward just a teeny tiny bit. There's the warning that the ground is. And again, we'll probably overshoot the end of the runway, but that's okay. We just want to come down very gingerly. Do not just pull the throttle back and try to settle this plane to the ground. It does not work. And we're down. Speed brakes out. It likes to hover. All right, we are in great shape here. You can see my spoilers have deployed, and we're stopped. Okay, let's put this plane back. Woo! Also ground handling. Nice. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our maximum speed with this aircraft. Now, a lot of people probably, there's been a lot of really interesting videos on this, a lot of, I'm not going to call it interesting things I have seen, but at the end of the day, it's really not that hard to make this thing go fast. So let's go ahead and go through it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply full throttle here. We're also going to enable the afterburner, and we're going to get rolling. So now, just like we did before, we're going to start pulling back as soon as it thinks it's about 150, 160. We're going to pitch up to about 10 degrees, gear up. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to pitch this aircraft for about 10 degrees and start building up some Mach here. Our goal is to get to about Mach 1, and then we're going to hold Mach 1 until we get ourselves up to 30,000 feet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to flip the aircraft over. That's what they tell you to do. Honestly, you don't need to do that. The strategy that I've been using, which I've stolen from many F-16 books, you just hold the nose over for negative G's for a while. There's 0.89, 0.9. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the nose up just a teeny tiny bit. Again, slow motion. And I'm going to get myself right up to around 20 degrees. Again, 20 degrees seems to be okay for the lower altitudes. You're really going to have to use a higher angle once you get to the higher altitudes. So again, we're just sort of chilling here. Like I said, you want to be over 0.9. This aircraft has a really nasty region of reversal. Like once you get behind the power curve on this thing, it does not tolerate you. So what we're trying to do here is we're going to hold this 20-degree angle. And again, keep an eye on that Mach meter up there at the top. We just want to make sure that we're holding this speed until we get to about 30,000 feet. Once we get to 30,000 feet, we're going to execute basically a nice old whoa maneuver to go ahead and lighten up the plane. Now, the way the fighter pilots would do this is they put themselves at 0 Gs. They recommend flipping over and putting yourself at -1 G. I'm going to kind of meet them. I'll meet them in the middle because it's the strategy that I'm most familiar with. Oops, starting to get a little slow, so I'm just going to gently. I can't say this enough. You've got to be gentle. Again, no whipping this plane around. You want to fly like you're in slow motion is the best way to describe it. And you can see how we've got those big happy afterburners happily glowing there, because the big happy. See how I'm starting to pitch up a little bit? That means that you're doing it wrong. So I'm actually going to pitch myself down to 10 degrees here and start building that Mach back up. You've got to keep your speed up. You will not be able to go fast unless your speed is already up. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hold 10 degrees for now. Like I said, we're starting to slow down just a teeny tiny bit. So there's about 30,000 feet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build up some Mach here, and then we're going to pull into a gentle climb. So what I'm going to do is normally they tell you to flip the thing over if you look at the actual profile. If you want to look at the profile, by the way, they have this semi-useful document. All I'm going to do is I'm going to push the nose down, and I'm going to go right to an angle of attack of about 0.5. It's going to be right about there. And all we're going to do is we're just going to slowly unload the aircraft. And what's going to happen is, as we're starting to unload this aircraft, you're going to notice I'm floating out of my seat. Oh, there goes my pen. And there goes my lunch. So we're going to pitch down to about 20 degrees. Ooh, a little bit too much. And you can see we're starting to build up some Mach now. There's 20 degrees right there. We're just going to smoothly transition out of it. And then what we're going to do is, as we start to pick up Mach, we're just going to slowly pull right back again. And our goal here is not to do anything aggressive. I'm holding about 1 degree angle of attack here. You don't need anything more than that. And all we're going to do is allow that extra Mach we just accumulated to basically carry us up into the next speed. So now we're going to go ahead and pitch back up like we were just a few moments ago. And I'm going to hold a steady 10 degrees. Think about this like getting up on the step. One of the things you'll notice is now that we've exceeded the speed of sound, my current angle of attack is indicating at 0.2 degrees. For those of you not sure where I'm looking right down here in this corner. The reason that is because the aerodynamic properties of this aircraft have changed because of the fact that I've exceeded the speed of sound. Again, your center of pressure has changed, the center of lift has changed. Everything on this aircraft has shifted aerodynamically, enabling me to pull this off. As a matter of fact, as you're seeing right now, I'm actually pulling back and I'm getting 0 angle of attack, and I'm actually still accelerating. Now, here's where this thing gets kind of tricky, and this requires a little bit of finesse and a little bit of practice. If you notice, my Mach number is slowly climbing up towards Mach 2. I'm holding about 10 degrees, by the way, in case you're curious. So what we need to do is get to Mach 3 so we can light the scramjet. For those of you not familiar with what a scramjet is, all it is it's a jet engine with no moving parts. We squeeze the incoming air, and then we give it some fuel, give it some spark, and off it goes, kind of a thing like that. It's an incredible system. It works really well, hypothetically. It also uses some unobtainium as far as I'm concerned, material science-wise. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm watching my speed. See, I'm losing speed really quick on the left. That's okay. So I'm actually going to nose down just a teeny tiny bit and just unload the aircraft. Our goal here is to kind of chill at Mach about 50,000 feet until we build up Mach 3. All right, looking at my speed there, you can see I'm hovering right around 47,000 feet. There we go, we're starting to build up some speed again. I'm going to pull the nose back just a teeny tiny bit. There's our 50,000 feet, and you can see we're just about to get Mach 3. All right, let's enable the scramjets. You're going to press this button right here. You're going to come up here, and you're going to press this button right here. Oh, yeah, there it is. oh my God. You want to pitch to about 20 oh, my chest. You want to pitch to about 20 degrees. You want to keep your speed up. Oh, boy. Here we go. All right, so that was over dramatic. Sorry, everyone. But if you take a look at my altitude and you take a look at my Mach, we're going. So what I like to do is hold about 15, 20 degrees. You can see my jet engine just cut out. You can also see over here that the scramjet is about 2,000 degrees, so it's working. And the key thing with this little zoom section right here is you want to give it a little bit of time to kind of build up the zoom. Usually between these altitudes, what I'll actually do is I'll re-unload the aircraft. And we're going to try to level off at right around 120,000 feet. Now, you really don't want to be going too much higher than that. You can, but you're actually going to take a penalty as far as speed goes if you get too much higher. The other problem, too, is as you start getting a little slower, this aircraft gets a little grumpy at you. It starts getting into that nasty, they call it the coffin kernel. The kernel of coffin. No, they call it the coffin corner, because basically you're an inch away from your stall speed, you're an inch away from your maximum Mach. It's not a pleasant place to be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and nose down a little bit more. I'm just passing 120. And we're just going to go ahead and stick the aircraft down to about 0 degrees. I'm going to hold it right there, and you can see we're doing about 130,000 feet. And we're about to break Mach 0.8, 850, 860. And we're going to get about Mach 9 today. I'm a little high for Mach 9. Again, Mach 9 is easier at lower altitudes. And it's pretty good right there. So now this aircraft is cruising at 8.94. And you can see I'm having no difficulty maintaining this. One thing you got to watch out for is, remember, I'm doing 5,600 knots right now, so I'm not exactly slow. That also means if you need to do any maneuvers, you want to do all your maneuvers before you kick up the speed. You can see I'm easily hitting it. From outside, by the way, it is absolutely a lovely day. You can see the curvature of the Earth. You can see the fact the aircraft is turning orange, which is a brand new color, and I love that blue flame. So hopefully you found this video helpful. Like I said, this is something kind of fun to make. You know, we usually don't get little toys like this in a flight sim, so this is kind of a nice touch. It is the fastest I think I've ever flown in a flight sim. Like, I don't know another flight sim I've ever gone this fast. I have done the X-15 before, which is pretty quick, but I don't remember the X-15 is this fast. But other than that, enjoy.